The galaxy was quiet that night. Too quiet. Somewhere beyond the edge of explored space, a scout ship drifted through blackness. No stars, no planets, just endless void. Inside, Captain Euro tapped his screen again. Nothing but static. Another patrol had gone silent. That made 3 in the past week. He looked over at his co-pilot, who was staring wide-eyed at the radar. "Sir," the co-pilot whispered, "we're not alone." Euro frowned. "Explain." The screen showed no ships, no signals, just a sudden flicker. A shape, tall, humanoid. There 1 second, gone the next. The co-pilot's hand shook as he pointed. "Something's out there. I saw it. It looked like a man." "Don't be ridiculous." Euro snapped. "There are no humans left." But then the ship's lights dimmed. The engines hummed low, and the temperature dropped. Frost crawled across the windows. Euro grabbed the controls. "Emergency jump now. Too late." A voice soft and cold echoed. Through the ship's speaker, though no signal had been received. It simply said, "You came too close." Static screamed through their ears as the ship spun out of control. The last thing the black box recorded was a shadow walking across the front window. Staring inside, humanoid, silent. Then the screen went dark, far away in the heart of the Galactic Council. Ports came in, another patrol lost in the black zone. High Chancellor Virel rolled his eyes. "Ghost stories. We'll send another team." But behind him, an old general stood still, staring at the report. His face had gone pale. He remembered stories from his youth-old stories that no one believed anymore. Tales of a being who walked alone, without weapons, but left only ruin. Behind, a being that was human, species wiped from existence 300 years ago, but not all of them. The general said nothing. He quietly walked to a locked vault and opened it with trembling hands. Inside were old war documents, marked, with red seals and warnings, classified, "Do not open human incident files." He opened one file. The picture showed a man with cold eyes and scars across his face, standing over a pile of alien bodies. He had no armor, no guns, only his fists, and yet he had destroyed an entire outpost. That man had vanished. No one ever found a body now. Patrols were vanishing again, ships destroyed, soldiers dead. Back in the Outer Rim, another ship arrived at the last known location of the missing patrol. They found only floating metal, torn apart like paper. The wreckage had strange marks on it, claw marks, deep and sharp, like from a beast. But sensors found no life. No enemy. Just a single message burned into a piece of whole metal. "He lives." The ship's crew returned in silence. No one spoke. Not even the commander, who looked like he had aged 10 years in 1 hour. When they arrived back at base, he was rushed into medical care. The medics said he was fine physically, but he just kept repeating the same words. "He's real." The human is real. The council dismissed it again. A survivor, broken by fear, a myth, nothing more. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, people whispered again. Pirates, smugglers, and hunters, those who lived far from the comfort of the council's light, told each other tales in hushed voices. About footsteps in empty ships. About a figure watching from the dark. About a man who cannot die. They said he once watched his planet burn. That he was the last of his kind. That he didn't fight for justice or revenge. He fought because he was angry. And now they said he was back. They thought the human was just a legend until the nightmare became real. The ship landed with a soft thud on the dead planet's surface. Dust rose around the landing gear, but there was no wind to carry it away. Captain Sellen looked out through the window. No plants, no animals, just black rocks and broken land. The scanners said there was no life, no heat, no movement. Still, she felt something. It's like eyes watching from the dark. Her team suited up 5 soldiers trained for extreme missions. Their job was simple. Find out what happened to the last patrol that disappeared here. It had been 7 days. No signal, no clue, just silence. As they stepped off the ramp, the air felt heavy, even though their suits kept them safe. The ground cracked under their boots. Every step echoed too loud, like they were disturbing something that didn't want to be found. Private Jocks was the first to speak. "This place feels wrong. No talking," Selin said. "Keep your weapons ready." They moved slowly across the rocky ground, searching for signs of wreckage. After 2 hours, they found it. A half-buried ship, torn open like a can. The metal was ripped, not burned. No sign of explosives. It looked like something had ripped it apart with its hands. Inside, they found the bodies. Not many, just 2. The rest were missing. One body had no visible wounds, but his face showed pure terror, frozen in place. Eyes wide, mouth open, like he died screaming. Private Miro backed away, his hands shaking. "Captain, what? What could do this?" Selin didn't answer. She was looking at the walls. Met scratches, deep ones, warns, marks, drawings, crude, but clear. A figure stood alone against many. Ships fell from the sky. Fires burned. One man stood in the middle of it all. Jack stepped closer. "Captain, those drawings." Selin didn't want to believe it. It's impossible. But the image was clear. Tall too. Arms. 2 legs. No armor. Just rage. Suddenly the lights on their suits flickered. Strange static hissed in their earpieces. "Get back to the ship," Selin ordered. They turned around and saw footprints in the dust. Fresh ones, leading into the dark canyon nearby. They hadn't seen anyone. They hadn't heard anything. The prints weren't alien. They were human. "Who's there?" Jock shouted. No answer. Selin raised her gun. "Form a circle. Watch all sides." Then, one by one, their cameras began to glitch. Sharp buzz, then black. Jock screamed first. His feed went dark. Miro turned and fired his weapon into the shadows. Nothing. Then he disappeared too. "Fall back," Selin shouted, but she was already alone. Breathing hard, she ran back toward the ship. Every step felt heavier. Her helmet fogged up. Her heart pounded. Just before she reached the ramp, she looked back. Nothing followed her. No sound. No sign of her team. Then a voice echoed through her radio. Calm, cold. Not from her crew. "You shouldn't have come." She turned in place, searching. "For the source? Who are you?" No answer. The ship's engines roared as the pilot lifted off. Selin collapsed inside, shaking, staring at the ground as it disappeared beneath them. Later, when the ship reached orbit, she checked her camera footage. All gone, except one short clip. 10 seconds long, it showed the canyon entrance. Empty then. For just a second, a figure appeared tall, human-shaped, standing still watching, not moving, not blinking. His eyes glowed faint red in the shadow. Then he was gone. The crew stayed silent, the rest of the trip back. The council, again, refused to believe it, but in secret. One of their oldest members watched the footage on repeat. He had seen that face before, years ago, long ago, back when humans were real, and back when one of them escaped. Now, he was walking again, and he was angry. In the deep vaults under the galactic archives, a quiet light blinked red. It hadn't blinked in 300 years. Hidden AI locked away since the Great Silence had awakened. Its old system scanned the recent files, disappearing ships, strange images, the return of something long thought dead. It didn't speak. It only moved to its highest security protocol. Threat level, human, active. Elsewhere in a forgotten station floating near a dying star, Historian Ven was sorting ancient digital records. Most of them were boring trade laws, mining, permits, old news reports. But then she found something strange. A locked file. Military grade. Unauthorized access forbidden. She tried anyway. The file opened. Inside were videos, reports, and a name stamped on every page. Project Ashfall. Ven watched one video. It showed a battlefield from long ago. Alien tanks rolled over hills, firing plasma shells. Then the camera shook violently. A lone figure moved through the smoke. No armor, no weapons, just speed and fury. The The camera zoomed in. A human she watched. Him jump onto a tank, tear off its turret with his bare hands, and throw it into another. Troops fired at him. It didn't stop him. He didn't run. He walked toward them. The video ended with a scream. Ven leaned back, heart racing. She had been taught that humans were wiped out during the uprising war. The story was that they were. Violent, dangerous, and unstable. The council claimed they had no choice but to destroy them all for peace, but now she knew that was a lie. Back at the council's core base, alarms started flashing. The AI had broken into the emergency files and was broadcasting one message across the galaxy: subject, human, status, unknown, danger level, total extinction class, prepare for conflict. Panic spread through the higher ranks. Leaders who once laughed at the myth now stood pale and silent. They called for old generals, soldiers who had fought in the uprising. One such general, old and half-blind, entered the war room. "You didn't kill him," he said. "I told you then. He survived." The chancellor asked. "He was trained for war before he could walk," the general said. "Every human was. But him. He was different. They called him Ash. He didn't fight for orders. He fought because his people were betrayed. But it's been 300 years. "I told you," the old man whispered. "He doesn't die." Meanwhile, in a hidden moon base long lost to the galaxy, a machine powered up for the first time in centuries. Walls lit up with red lights. Screens showed old battles, old wounds, and a figure sat in the center of the room. Alone, his eyes opened. He remembered the war. He remembered the fire. He remembered the moment his home burned, and the council lied to the galaxy. They said humanity started the war. But they were the ones who attacked Earth during peace talks. He had survived. He had watched everyone else die. And now, after waiting, watching, and preparing, he would return. He stepped into the light. The scars on his body had never healed. Not because they couldn't, but because he didn't want them to. Each scar reminded him of who he was. He wasn't just a human. He was the last one. The galaxy had forgotten the war, but he hadn't. He moved through the shadows, silent and fast. Across the stars, strange events began happening. Military bases were found empty, warships missing, entire fleets vanished with no fight, no warning, no trace. All that was left behind was a single message: Ash lives. Across pirate networks and dark web broadcasts, whispers began to spread. They said the nightmare had returned, that he was watching, that he remembered everything, and this time he wouldn't stop. The council ordered full lockdowns. But it was already too late. The war they forgot had just started again. Tarn was the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, half machine, half reptilian. He had tracked warlords, pirates, and assassins across black holes and battlefields. He never failed. So when the council offered him triple pay to find and kill the so-called last human, he laughed. "Is this a joke?" Tarn asked, claws tapping the table. "You want me to chase a ghost?" "This is no ghost," the chancellor said. "He's already destroyed 3 fleets. "Then I'll destroy him too," Tarn said, standing tall. "You've just hired a nightmare to kill another." He loaded his ship with weapons, lasers, drones, explosives, even carried a gravity net designed to crush small moons. He expected a fight, but he didn't expect fear. His first stop was the Black Zone, where the last scout ship had vanished. The wreckage floated like broken bones in space. No power, no bodies. Just silence. Tarn's scanner picked up a Signilla data log left behind. He played it, static at first, then a whisper. "He walks through fire, and the fire follows him." Tarn shut it off. "Drama," he muttered. "Let's find the truth." Whoa. He followed the trail to a mining colony deep in the asteroid belt. The place was burned. Walls melted. Doors ripped off. But there were signs of movement someone had walked through recently. Inside the control room, he found one survivor, an old alien with burned arms and shaking eyes. "He was here," the old one said, voice dry. "He didn't speak. He didn't run. He just walked." everything around him died. Tarn leaned closer. What did he use? Bombs? Guns? The old alien shook his head. Nothing, just his hands. Tarn didn't believe it. Impossible. He looked at me, the old one whispered, and I knew I wasn't going to die. Not yet. He wanted me to warn you. Tarn left the colony without speaking. Words echoed in his mind. He wanted me to warn you. His next lead came from a black market trader. Trader handed him a photo, grainy but clear. A human figure, standing in the rain, surrounded by smoking wreckage. Is this edited? Tarn asked. The trader swallowed hard. No, he destroyed a private army. They were armed with battle mechs. Tarn stared at the photo. The man had no helmet, no armor, just a dark coat. His eyes didn't blink. Tarn flew to that site next. A jungle planet with heavy storms. The moment he landed, his systems began to fail. First the drone feeds, then the ship sensors. It felt like the planet itself was warning him. He pressed on, walking through the mud. The deeper he went, the quieter it became. No animals, no wind, just wet leaves and the sound of his own breathing. Then he saw it. A fresh boot print, human-sized. Deep in the mud, still wet, he raised his rifle. Come out, shouted nothing. He turned around and saw a shape behind the trees. Just a shadow. Watching, not moving. Tarn aimed his gun, said, "Come out." The shadow disappeared. He ran after it. Trees blurred. The jungle closed in. The trackers on his visor blinked red, then shut down. A whisper came through his comms. You don't know what you're chasing? Tarn stopped cold. Show yourself. Another whisper. You think this is a hunt? It's not. In silence, Tarn spun in circles, gun raised. Sweat ran down his scaled neck. Suddenly, his backpack was gone. Torn off. His weapons crushed. One by one, they were being destroyed around him. He couldn't see who was doing it. He screamed in frustration and fired in every direction. No hit. Then, finally a voice, clear, calm, and close. I let you find me. Tarn turned. Standing in the clearing was a man, tall, human. His clothes were torn, but his eyes were sharp. Angry? You came here for a trophy, the man said. You found a warning. Tarn raised his claws, but the man was already gone. Darkness. Fell Tarn's ship was found 3 days later, drifting in orbit. No damage, no pilot. Just a message burned into the side. Stop sending hunters. I'm hunting now. The council read the message and said nothing. But for the first time, they were truly afraid. The council was done waiting. Whispers and shadows had turned into real losses. Entire fleets gone. Soldiers missing. No survivors, no proof. Just fear. So they decided to end it the only way they knew, by force. 12 war generals gathered. In the Hall of Judgment. Their faces were grim. They didn't speak of politics now. They spoke of weapons. We send a message, one said. 1 million troops. Tanks, mechs, orbit cannons. Against one man? Other asked. The High General slammed the table. He is not a man. He's a warning we ignored for too long. The plan was simple. Locate him, trap him, erase him. The location came from a scout drone, uninhabited. Planet with thick forests and long-abandoned ruins. The last drone that flew near it sent a final image before going dark. A figure, sitting on the ruins, staring at the sky. They sent the army. 10,000 soldiers dropped in the first wave. Massive carriers landed with thunder. Gunships patrolled the skies. Tanks rolled through trees. The forest was crushed under steel. The commanders laughed. Can't hide now. But an hour passed, and no sign of him. Then the silence began. First a patrol went offline, then another. One by one, signals blinked out. The base commander called them back. No response. A pilot screamed through the comms. We can't see him. He's everywhere. Then static. From orbit, the generals watched in confusion. Hundreds of blinking signals turned red. Red meant dead in just 4 hours. The entire first wave was gone. They sent the second wave elite warriors with enhanced armor and air support. But they didn't land, because the landing zone was gone. The trees were on fire, shaped into the form of a skull burned so deep the symbol could be seen from space. The generals froze. That symbol wasn't random. It was a message. Then the live feed from a ground soldier appeared. The video showed a forest full of smoke, ashes falling like snow. The soldier ran through broken trees, breathing hard. Explosions behind him. "He's not using weapons?" the soldier shouted. "He's using us against each other." The feed shook. Shadow passed behind him. He turned, screamed, then silence. Only one man returned from the planet. He arrived in an escape pod, shaking, bloodied. His armor half melted. The council dragged him to the briefing room. "Tell us what happened," the chancellor demanded. The man didn't speak for a full minute. Then, it's a soft, broken voice, he said, "He walks through fire." They asked what weapons he used. None. Asked how he survived their attacks? He didn't dodge. He didn't block. The bullets just missed him. They asked what he wanted. The soldier looked up with fear in his eyes. "He wants us to remember." That night, the council's military command center was locked down. No one allowed in. No news released. But word still spread in the lower districts of the galaxy. In mining towns and trade routes, people whispered stories. They said one man destroyed a full army. No ships, no fleets, just him. That he appeared in the middle of soldiers. Everything died around him, and they said something else too, that he spoke only once during the battle. He told a commander who begged for his life, "You erased my people, and now I erase your lies." Across the stars, that message echoed. The human wasn't hiding anymore. He was making sure the whole galaxy saw him. The fear spread faster than any news. Even pirates stopped raiding. Even slavers shut down their networks. Soldiers quit. Civilians moved off planets near council stations. Everyone knew what was coming, and still, the council denied it. "He's just one man," they said, but deep down, they all knew the truth. They had sent armies, and he had sent a message. Historian Ven couldn't sleep. Since finding the ancient war files, her dreams had changed. She saw fire, broken cities, and a single man walking through them without fear. It's the same face, always, at the same eyes. Eyes that remembered everything. She had spent her life studying the history of the galaxy. But now she realized how much had been erased, buried, lied about. The council said humans attacked first, that they were violent and dangerous, and that their destruction was necessary. But the more files she unlocked, the more the truth cracked through. She found a file deep in a broken server hidden beneath an old university. Its title read, "Earth Peace Accord, Deleted Footage." The footage was silent, a recording from a council ship. It showed humans standing in a large hall, their leaders offering peace. Gifts, trade, open hands. Then, a signal, a laser strike. Council warships opened fire without warning. Ven paused the video. Her heart sank. The council had lied. They started the war. She scrolled further. Survivors had escaped. Not many. Most were hunted. One was different. The last one, the man who wouldn't die. His name was never mentioned. Just a code. Project Ash. He was trained from childhood to survive any planet, any weapon, any enemy. Not as a soldier, but as a final failsafe. A living reminder. And now he had returned. Ven sent the footage to underground networks. She knew she had little time, but it was too late. The council's spies found her. She fled into the night. Carrying a small drive with her last backup, they chased her across the rooftops of Corvex Prime, but she didn't stop. Before they caught her, she threw the drive into the hands of a child watching from a window. "Tell them the truth," she whispered. Then she was gone. The next day, the footage leaked across the galaxy. Everyone saw it, the betrayal, the slaughter. The peace offering crushed under plasma fire, and they saw him mashed standing in the smoke. Wounded but alive, holding the body of a fallen child. His face covered in blood and dirt, his eyes empty. The people turned, not against him, against the council. Riots broke out. Protests on dozens of worlds. Soldiers refused orders. Even some admirals began to question their history. The council scrambled to cover the truth. He claimed the footage was fake, made by rebels, but more footage leaked. Hidden cameras.
A war.
Reports. Secret logs. All telling the same story. The truth they buried had clawed its way back into the light. On the council homeworld, security was raised to its highest level. Fear had replaced pride. Their mighty fleet, once the greatest in the galaxy, was now just a wall trying to stop a storm. And then, one night, the lights across the planet flickered. Every screen, every broadcast, every communication went black. And then, one face appeared. His face ashed, older, now scarred, but still burning with rage. He said only one sentence. "I remember everything." Then the screen went dark again. Across the galaxy, a silence followed. A silence filled with fear and deep space. Far from the heart of power, Ash stood aboard a stolen warship. Alone, looking out into the stars. He didn't need to speak. He didn't need allies. He didn't want power. He wanted the truth to hurt them, to burn them. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old flag, the human flag. Blackened, torn, but still whole. He didn't wave it. He just stared at it, and behind him, thousands of red lights began to glow. Ships he had stolen, drones he had reprogrammed, weapons taken from the council's own hands. He had waited long enough. They thought they had buried the truth, but now it would bury them. The council chamber was full, every seat taken. Leaders from every major species sat in silence as the High Chancellor began to speak. The room was built to impress: gold walls, glass floors, and guards on every level. But today none of it felt safe. "The human has spread lies," the Chancellor said. "Do not believe the traitors. Do not trust the fear. He is only one man." The broadcast went live across the galaxy. People watched on every planet. Council wanted to calm the masses. They wanted to show power. But power doesn't stop fear, as the Chancellor continued. Loud beep echoed through the chamber. Security alert. A guard rushed forward. "Sir, we have a breach Sector 4. "It's impossible," the Chancellor snapped. "We are under full lockdown." Another beep. "Sector 6 breached. Fire detected." The screens behind the Chancellor flickered. Images flashed: hallways burning, guards running, systems failing. Someone had broken in. Panic spread through the chamber. The guards raised weapons. But before they could act, central screen changed. A live feed. A man walking through the lower levels of the building. Calm/slow. No armor. No weapons. Ash. He moved like smoke through fire. Alarms screamed. Sprinklers rained down. Doors sealed and opened for him anyway. The guards sent drones. None came back. The chamber fell silent. The leaders watched in horror as he climbed floor after floor. No one stopped him. No one slowed him down then. The screen went black, the room went dark, and an explosion rocked the council tower. Windows shattered. Lights burst. Half the chamber collapsed in flame. Screams filled the room as dust and smoke rolled over the seats. When the cameras came back online, the live broadcast showed destruction. But in the middle of the chaos, Ash stood. He didn't speak. He simply walked through fire, his coat burning at the edges, his boots echoing on the broken floor. The galaxy watched as the council fell. Some tried to fight, others begged, but Ash didn't care. He wasn't there for revenge. He was there to end them, and he did. One by one, only a few escaped. And those who ran across the stars, their images were shown: leaders who had lied, who had killed the innocent, running like cowards. Ash vanished into the smoke, but he left behind a message, burned into the last wall still standing. Were 4 words: "You feared a myth." That night, rebellions began. Stations declared independence. Fleets turned their guns inward. Entire worlds pulled down statues of council rulers. Some planets even declared humans as heroes, even though only one remained, and still no one knew where he went. Rumors spread. They said he was seen on a dying planet, watching the sunrise. Others said he was deep in space, building something. A few believed he had already left the galaxy, his mission complete. But those who knew war, those who understood pain, they knew better. He was still here, waiting, watching, because the job wasn't done. In the shadows of a broken city, a young girl stood over a council officer's body. In her hands was a symbol carved into metal, the symbol of humanity. She didn't understand its meaning. Not yet, but she would. Ash had burned the top. Now the bottom would rise, because once a fire starts, it spreads, and the whole galaxy was. Dry wood. Ash had done more than destroy a building. He had destroyed belief, and from those ashes, something new would grow. But first, the fire had to finish its work, and it wasn't done yet. The galaxy had changed. The council was broken. Its towers lay in ruins, its members scattered or dead. But the fear hadn't ended. It had only begun. In secret, the remaining leaders formed one last plan. They gathered a final army. Not thousands, but millions. Ships, weapons, drones, and soldiers from 12 powerful species. A united force to kill one man, they called it Operation Final Dawn. They met at the center of the galaxy around a dead star where no one lived. A perfect place for an ambush. He won't come alone, one admiral said. He's building an army. The high commanders disagreed. He doesn't need one. He is one. Satellites were placed. Shields activated. Drones scanned every angle. The sky shimmered with warships, all waiting for a single signal. Then came silence. Hours passed. Then a day. Then a pod appeared. One small black pod. It drifted toward the fleet. No weapons, no signal, just a steady course straight into the center. The commanders watched in silence. This must be a trick. Shoot it down. Wait. But the lead general raised a hand. Wait. The pod landed on the surface of the dead star's orbit station. It opened, and he stepped out. No armor, no mech, no army. Just Ash. The soldiers aimed from 1,000 directions. Orbit cannons locked on. Still, he walked. The lead general stepped forward, shouting through the coms, "You are outnumbered. Surrender now." Ash stopped. He looked up into the sky, at the hundreds of ships. Then he said something strange. "I'm not here to fight." The general frowned. "Then why come?" Ash's eyes burned with memory. "To show you what fear feels like." Suddenly, the lights went out. Across every ship, every station, darkness. The power grid failed, AI systems crashed, light weapons went offline. Ash lifted a small device from his belt. "You taught me war," he said. "I learned more than you expected." The council's own tech, its own power, was now in his hands. Chaos erupted. Drones turned on their masters. Engines failed. Gravity reversed on several ships. Soldiers screamed, trying to escape malfunctioning controls. Ash stood alone in the chaos, unmoving, watching them destroy themselves. He didn't fire a shot. He didn't need to. The fleet that had been meant to crush him collapsed from the inside, crashing, exploding, burning. The dead star lit up for the first time in centuries from the fire of their failure. Ash vanished again. No. One saw how he escaped. No. One knew where he went. But the message was clear. It was never about power. It was about memory, about truth. He didn't just defeat the council. He made sure they could never rise again. Weeks later, a statue appeared in a broken city where the council had once ruled. No one knew who built it. It was simple. A man standing with his back turned, facing the stars. At the base were words carved in steel. They called him a legend. Then he became their nightmare. Now, he is a warning. Across the galaxy, new governments rose, smaller, freer, and on quiet planets. People spoke of Earth again, not as a myth, but as the home of the last man who changed everything. Some said he was still out there watching, waiting, protecting. But no. one ever saw him again, and that was how he wanted it. Because for Ash, the war was never about revenge. It was about truth, and the truth had been delivered in fire, silence, and fear. They thought the human was just a legend until the nightmare became real and then became something worse than a legend. He became the reason they would never forget.